Hey, everyone. So this is Anish back at you. So we have been doing these challenges. We have been stressing ourselves out for the last couple of weeks, and it's been a really long couple of weeks as well. So today we are going to have our fun Friday with some really big experts on AWS. And as you all know, I like to call myself an AWS addict. And these two folks are what make addicts at places on the cloud and expertise on AWS. And so let me go ahead and introduce them. First, we have Ava Meredith, who is a cloud coach and a big AI proponent and an expert in AWS AI. So she will be able to talk to us about what are some of the latest technologies at AWS and AI in general, where she see things going towards. And we have Ario, who I'm a big fan of, and if you haven't checked him out, well, he is going to show up in your face at some point because he's one of those awesome people that has a really cool way of talking with everyone, of teaching people about some really advanced concepts and basic concepts in DevOps and security on AWS. And so we have something that I am super lucky at the beginning of this channel that I have two amazing people that have agreed to come here and be a part of this and also to talk with all our audience. So, with that, Ava, do you want to say a couple of words about yourself and how awesome you are?
Well, you already did it for me, Anish. By the way, I think you're awesome as well and very experienced, and I love your posts. But just very briefly, again, I'm Cloud Coach Ava, and I love technology. I really thrive in AI ML topics like development as well. And if you don't see me here, it's because I'm out hiking and I have no reception. So don't try to contact me.
Awesome. Thank you, Ava. Aryo, do you just want to, you know, say even more awesome you are than what?
Hey, I appreciate all those kind words, Anish. I really do. But yeah, Cloud Coach Errio, and I really enjoy helping folks get skilled up around the cloud. Like it's a passion for me. I remember being in those shoes one day, and now I get an opportunity to kind of help other folks do it. So, man, I'm just grateful to be here, Anish. Thanks for having me in here.
Awesome. Thank you, Ava. Thank you, Aryo. All right. So that like brings us to the first amazing question, Aryo. So what's the most unexpected place you've had with the cloud aha moment? Where exactly would you say that? Was it on shower? Was it in a subway? Was it eating your cereal? What exactly was? Hey, I'm pretty awesome at this, and I'm going to start talking to people about the cloud. What was?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because it wasn't like something extreme. You know what I mean? I'll just be honest. It was totally my last job. I was at the place of employment, and I was studying up about the cloud. And when you first start studying about the cloud, it seems like a place you've never been before. But I had done a lot at the company that I worked for as far as IT. So I'm a network. I was a network manager there. So here I am at work. I'm on a ladder. I got this device in my hand. It's a network load balancer and I'm plugging it up. And on the other side of that network load balancer, there's two Ethernet cables. And so I plugged one of them up, and I plugged the other one up. And I started to think about what I was doing. I mean, of course, I know what I'm doing. It's a network load balancer. We're trying to get two different spots in the warehouse to get this activity that's coming through the network load balancer in an even way. And then I stopped and I said, that's what an elastic load balancer is doing. It was just kind of picture perfect in my mind because I was able to like grab that physical device. And I went back to my studies and I was like, I'm going to totally rock this solution architect associate. I was preparing for that. And so going through that, I actually didn't use Skill Builder to prepare for that at that time before I came to AWS. I was using Udemy, and it was a gentleman by the name of Stefan Mark. And I was like, this is what Stefan is talking about. So right there in my previous workplace, an aha moment. I needed to focus on that job, but it reminded me of something that I need to do with cloud security, and cloud networking. So I would say that's it, man. Just my old place of employment.
Awesome. Thank you, Ario. And if I can ask you a follow-up, would you would you go back to those days of plugging your network load balancer with the Ethernet, or would you have you moved
So
to like what's your take on where things are, and what would you do, for example?
Yeah, so the last company that I used to work for was called Houston Shutters. And at that time, they were in the transition stage where they were trying to pick a good cloud provider. AWS wasn't the provider that they were looking at the time, but they were just kind of open to different things. And during that time, I realized that, you know what, the industry is moving, right? And companies need to move with the industry. And so I would say that we were not behind the times, but we were trying to figure out, you know what, what's more modern. So would I go back? I would go back of Houston Shutters just saying, hey, you know what, we're fully fledged in the cloud, full force into the cloud, and we're using these cloud resources because I'll tell you this, it's a lot easier to pull up your computer to fix a virtual issue than to grab a ladder and get up on that ladder and go through those Ethernet cables and kind of hook it up physically, right? So it's all about, you know what, moving forward with the industry, and I think in the cloud is where it's at. So right now, nah, I don't think so.
All right. Well, there you go, everyone. So we have a clean answer from Mario, or an answer that kind of moves us towards the cloud, and we are going to get the real tease out of him pretty soon. All right. Ava, you are our AI expert. And so, this AWS, we all think about AI and all the services. We all keep hearing about it. I've heard this word called Bedrock in my first couple of weeks of my challenge. I developed things with Bedrock. And so, Bedrock is this place where there are all these different models, right? Where there are all these large language models, which are exactly like ChatGPT. So if you had to launch one particular AI model on Bedrock, which one would you sort of choose? Or would you choose ChatGPT, right? I mean, who's exactly at the table? And can you like just sort of tell us about Bedrock and why it offers so many choices?
that reminds me of that question. If you were able to have dinner with just like, two geniuses, who would you pick, right? A little like that updated for the AI times, right? Um, so yeah, in Bedrock, which is you can think about it like the food court of AI ML, where you can get premium food, where you can access different chefs. Like those are going to be the model. That's how you could think about it, right? The chefs are the different AI models from various restaurants. So you can get, a model from Anthropic or from Amazon or Stability AI, etc., all under one roof, and there is no need to visit the restaurant separately. So from here, in terms of which model would I have lunch with, if I had to pick one, it would be probably Amazon Nova. And the reason why is because it's multimodal. It's like the Swiss Army knife of AI. It can do really anything and everything. It can handle text, images, video, one model family. And it's customizable, so you can train it with your own data, and it's like teaching your AI assistant your own company language. There are different tiers, so it's light or premium, so you can really customize. But I think that's the one I would pick because it's so versatile. So it's again like the Swiss Army knife. What that's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking, Anish?
That's great, Ava. First of all, I learned a lot from you because that when you think about these models on you hear about all these famous models, but the fact and the reasoning that you gave about the versatility of the Nova model, right, is something I was not very familiar with, and I really want to go check it out at this point. And I hope all our viewers also go and have a chance to look at it, because, like I said, right, when you hear it from some person like Ava that has a lot of experience with almost everything in this particular field and all the models on Bedrock, it's something that you can definitely go and try it out and see how it works for your use case. Absolutely. So thanks, Ava. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have no preference, which is why I come to the expert. So
just
so
put it to
thank
the
you.
test. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Put it to the test. All right, Ario, DevOps security. What's one DevOps or security tool or trick that you thought was like black magic when you first started this? Like, why do I have to even care about DevOps and security? And if you could
Well, I'll tell you
share.
this. Um, like I come from a background of being on premise and actually touching physical devices. And so deployment was my thing at one point in time when I worked at that old company that I told you about. So I deployed so many different things from compute to storage to networking. And so you kind of understand the grit that it takes to kind of put this thing together. Sometimes you sweat at work when you're doing it that way, right? Coming into the cloud, it was like cloud formation allows me to create a YAML script where I can just produce all of this at once. That's black magic, right? To me, especially somebody coming from, touching that stuff and going through the manual labor of kind of getting that done. Oh, I'm not going back now. I'm using this black magic. So I can integrate all of the infrastructure that I need for my application. And on top of that, I'm a hard code all of that security, right? Or at least point to surfaces that can get me more secure with my cloud formation script. So I would say infrastructure is code, Anish.
Absolutely. All right. All right. So people say it's hard, Ario. What do you think? Is that something that people can learn, or would you say like to get started, it's probably easier for me to just go into the console and click resources? Like, what would
ClickUps.
your
We
recommendation?
don't want
Huh?
ClickUps.
Yes.
Oh, it's called ClickUps. I didn't even know that. That's a cool term. Okay.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's hard, but you need documentation, right? You need to understand services and what they offer. And as you're building out something like a cloud formation script, you got different portions of that cloud formation script, and that's going to relate to different parameters or different values you can set based on the services that you're trying to deploy.
Mhm.
So, if anybody is trying to kind of skill up in that area, I would say grab the documentation around AWS and learn the service and the features that you can add to that script. So,
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Ario. All right, all right. So Ava, hiker, in an alternate life, right? So when you're not doing AI and when you're not doing all your amazing videos on AI, what job would you be crushing instead? Is it a hiker through and through, or would you be a travel blogger or a detective? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think I'll keep the hiker as a hobby, just a little bit of a separation of concerns there.
Uh-huh.
So how does Ava PI sound to you? Ava Private Investigator, my own
Ooh, okay.
agency? Maybe
All
something
right.
like that. I like looking into stuff, solving problems, finding patterns, and I think that translates well to being a detective, having my own detective agency. So yeah, I think Ava PI has a pretty good ring to it. I can help
Nice.
people solve problems for people.
So on that Ava PI, since you picked up the detective, right? What do you think is one thing learners always get wrong about AI if you were on from a detective lens, and what do you think they should absolutely, nail while learning AI on AWS or just in general? What would your advice be?
That's actually a great question, Anish. I'm glad you brought this up. I guess maybe the biggest misconception is that AI is like a magical solve everything for every kind of problem. So, while it's obviously very powerful and solves a lot of new problems, there are still some cases where we can still use like the, old-fashioned compute, for example. So sometimes it's too much of a tool, maybe that is not necessary, right? So I think that's one way to approach it. So just be aware of how you can use it in what scenarios, and just don't think that you're just going to ask a question and magically it's going to give you exactly the answer. It's not quite like that. You have to do a little bit more, like garbage in, garbage out. Maybe if you need to learn how to do the better prompt, so then that's going to give you the better answer. But solve everything, maybe yes, but with a little bit of work on your end. And then what everybody gets right is probably the excitement about the possibilities. Definitely, when students realize what AI can do, it's a really good creative partner, and it can provide, especially helping with like automating tasks, repetitive tasks, being like an assistant on the side for learning, interview prep, and so on. But it does not replace their judgment. So again, be excited about it, but just still use your human brain.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Eva. That was amazing, just to know about your take on AI, which is really interesting. And so on AWS AI, would you say it's like kind of a similar sort of a thing, or would that be is there something very specific learners have to, you're an expert on all these new things too, like Bedrock and Strand, and you hear all this, but what's like the one fundamental thing people have to get about AWS AI?
So I think a little bit of a moving. So we keep on coming up with new, interesting, cool tools and technologies. So maybe I'm going to answer your question by telling you what is like the latest and coolest thing. How about that? Because there are so many of them. I'm
Yeah,
just going to pick this
please.
one. All right. And so recently, AWS launched the Kiro AI Agentic IDE, Integrated
Hmm.
Development Environment. And the idea here is kind of really mind blowing in a way, but spec driven development. Just give it a spec. I want to build a hiking app that can bring in real time, trip reports and things like that from people. So from, public sources and such. And literally just give it a little spec, like a couple sentences. And then it's going to give you the requirement documents, the design documents, the diagrams. And it's going to even give you tasks that are executable in Errio, right? So you just click on it and it executes it. So this is very powerful. I think it's very exciting. And if people are using VS Code, you can import, like I was able to import my settings from VS Code into Kiro. So basically, at this point, in a way, one of my former students, I read her post recently on LinkedIn and mentioned how software developers are turning a little bit into product designers and product managers. So I think that's really what I'm seeing here with Kira. But anyway, I'm excited about this one. You can see why, probably, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can see the excitement, Ava, but thank you, thank you. That's amazing. Kira, I have to check it out too. I've heard a lot. In fact, I saw one of your posts and saw it there for first time. So I got to try it out
You
as
love
soon
it.
as
I
yeah.
think. I'm guessing you love it. Let me know. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ava. All right, Ario, here's a superhero question for you. So if AWS or AWS Ops or DevOps or security, what would your whatever is your favorite service were a superhero? What do you think that service's superpower is and the kryptonite for that be? Superman just got released by the way, so
Yeah, I love Superman movies. I would say, have you ever seen The Matrix before?
yeah.
Now, this isn't a popular superhero, but I think this is a superpower. You ever seen The Matrix and then Agent Smith start replicating?
Mhm.
Man, I love that. I love The Matrix. I love The Matrix. It reminds me of EKS. I taught EKS a lot in the
Oh
commercial.
boy.
And if you can take an application and scale it out in many parts, I mean, that's just like Agent Smith. You couldn't stop Agent Smith because he just kept scaling and kept scaling. So I would say Kubernetes with AWS. So Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service is that superpower service for me. It actually helped me learn a lot about DevOps. There's this workshop called the eksworkshop.com that folks can check out if they want to learn any portion around DevOps with scaling out containers. Oh, it'll show you so much automation, and not even just automation. It'll show you about networking and going through and dealing with storage, and there's so many options, right, with running Kubernetes. So I would
Mhm.
say that replication or the replicating superpower, just to be having as many instances of the portion of your application that you need to be out there to service your clients, right? So that's what I would say. Kubernetes, Agent Smith, like the Matrix.
So let me just say something.
Yeah.
Someone tells me Kubernetes, I just want to run that direction because for some reason I think it's super
Me
hard.
too, though.
So
That's me too, Anish. We can
yeah.
focus on that.
Yeah. So you know, I think Agent Smith's the best analogy one can come up with because Agent Smith's pretty super complicated a person too, right? So
Yeah.
what do you think like some of us can learn this? Do you know of any resource? What I quite didn't get the catch the resource that you were talking about that we could
Yeah.
all kind of learn from.
Yeah, and so the eksworkshop.com. So this is the thing about the
Okay.
eksworkshop.com. It's always being updated by AWS developers, which is really, really nice. It'll show
Mhm.
you how to use your own account to deploy it in one region or another. You can just see the details and the get started portion of it. And after you deploy it, you got to make sure that you run a lab and then tear it down. But it'll show you on each one of the labs that you run how to clean it up. Make sure you do that. If you're out there listening to this, you go to eksworkshop.com to do it, because I have been in a situation where I paid a little bit of money because I forgot to clean up and tear things down. But anybody can do it. It's based on an e-commerce website, and basically the website sells different products like hats and watches and clothes and things like that. But it'll take you from understanding the build of the UI on how you can start to build out an application to service clients, I mean customers, to build out different carts that might have different orders, that might make different sales. And so it really shows you the entire architecture of the entire application. It's a huge application. And so as soon as you jump in there, it's like a get started portion, shows you how to deploy it. It even shows you where the development tools are and some of the resources that it takes to build that thing out. So it shows you different repositories. It's going to use ECR. If you're listening and you're trying to figure out what that means, it's the
The
Elastic
registry.
Container Registry. Yeah. Absolutely. So these containerized images that are used to facilitate the UI or the cart section of the application or the order section of the application, and these many different sections are powered by these containerized images. And so you need to be able to scale and manage these containerized images based on security and networking and automation. And so with the many, many different tabs that you have there, I would say anybody, you don't have to be an expert around containers. You can jump right into it. If you follow it step by step, it's very clear and concise, and it's very expanded, meaning like the instructions are very detailed, and it doesn't miss a beat. And so it really, really did help me learn DevOps a whole lot. And then it also helped me to teach the course around EKS in AWS. So I think it's an awesome resource.
Awesome. Thank you, Ario. So if I understand correctly, EKS is something that just makes all of this, AWS makes it super easy for all this orchestration to happen with something like EKS. Is that
I'll tell you this, Anish, Kubernetes is a deep, complex tool. I want you to think that it's super easy, right? But EKS makes Kubernetes easy a little
okay?
bit.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And so imagine if we didn't have EKS. Basically, what we need to do is we need to be in charge of all of the hardware that it takes to even run your cluster, is what we would call it. And
Mhm.
so what EKS does is AWS says, you know what? I know it takes some of that compute to manage what we call a data plane in order to get that done. But so you don't have to manage it. AWS is going to manage it. What do you manage? The application layer. We call it the data plane, right? And so the data plane is just considering the compute that it takes to run those containerized images. So taking some of that hardware away from you, but then allowing you to just to manage the application process should make it a little easy for you. But yeah, Kubernetes is a very, very deep tool. So you got to learn a little bit of a command line called kubectl. You also need to learn another command line called eksctl. So it's a lot to go through. I wouldn't say that it's hard. I would say that it might be tedious. But if you sit there and you're interested in it, you can learn it no problem.
Awesome. Thank you, Ario. That was really informative, and yeah, go check out Ario's videos. For an expert opinion and for some good knowledge that he's dropping around. So I'm probably going to do that today as well, Ario. All right, both of you, thank you very much. But before we go, one controversial question for both of you. All right, and it's a it's a simple answer that I'm looking for. It's a big topic, but we'll start with Ava. Ava, AI assistants in classroom to write code, okay or not okay?
You just want a yes or no, or a little of a
A little
justification?
bit too, of course, yeah.
I'm going to go with a yes, because the tool is there, is going to increase your productivity, and if you don't use it, you'll just be left behind. So just use it and then make it work for you and to increase your productivity. So 2 thumbs up actually on that.
Two thumbs up. Okay, all right, all right. There you go. The AI expert with the definite yes. Are you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say absolutely use it. I remember when I first started teaching AWS, I walked into class and you can tell that the stakeholders wanted the people who were there to learn AWS. And there was one gentleman in the room, an older developer, who said, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't think this is a good idea." And the whole understanding was, I got to re-architect this entire application if we move to AWS. And so I think you get some push and pull based on who you're talking to. Some people who are very passionate, deep, have been in this for a long time, they don't want you to skip the line, and they kind of look at AI in that way, like you're skipping the line a bit. But I think we need to move into the future, right? And we need to move into where the industry is going. So absolutely, I think if we can utilize compute units to think a little bit more structured and more faster than humans, yeah, why not use that? So I'm gonna also give that 2 thumbs up. Now, I mean, and I'm not probably going to write my entire application with AI. I'll use it as a resource. I don't want to get caught around plagiarism and things like that. But just like Avi is talking about, yeah, I'm definitely going to give that 2 thumbs up. Let's move into the future with the way it's headed, right? So,
What do you think?
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead, David, please. Yeah.
No, what do you think? What is your answer?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you, Ava. 4 thumbs up. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I use it all the time, and you know, it's if you do that, it's unfair to tell other people not to do it. So I think my passion starts right there. So absolutely. All right, both of you. I really thank you a lot. This channel's really small, and you are first guest, and you are really big people to come into my space, and I totally appreciate this. I'm really sure all our viewers appreciate this, and please go check them out. Ario's talking about Kubernetes and EKS and all of that. It's you can't get a better person to follow and learn. And Ava posts all these amazing things which are current hero. Haven't heard that word, but today I did. I hope all of you learned something too. And so with that, thank you, both of you, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Anish. And I want to say I love your channel with all the challenges. So thanks for having us.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
thanks. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Good
enjoying it too, man.
practice.
Keep that up, man.
All right. Take it easy, you guys.
Bye,
All
everyone.
right. Bye bye.